Aloha and welcome to Intersections Talanoa. My name is Line-Noue Memea Kruse and I am the editor of Intersections, Journal of Asia Pacific Undergraduate Research. 2024 marks the year for our second issue. And for our second issue, one of the articles that we will be publishing is by our Talanoa invited guest today. I'm so privileged and honored to have Jase McDonald. Jase McDonald, I heard him in the undergraduate research conference last year, and we were so impressed by his work. Jase is a major in English and minors in intercultural peace building and Hawaiian studies. Aloha kako, Jase.
Aloha. Thank you.
Aloha. So, Jase, just as a question, softball for this afternoon. Jase, where are you from?
I'm from California.
Yes, the state. Where exactly?
I'm from Oceanside, California.
Yeah. Oceanside. So for those that are unfamiliar, Oceanside would be San Diego, correct?
Yes. San Diego County.
Love it. But before we get into a deep dive of your article and your research. So I kind of have a little thing here on Talanoa. I don't know if you've watched it before, but in the past, I've had students rap. I've had students sing. And so I was thinking, Jase kind of seems like an appreciator of music and music from the 80s and 90s, because that's my jam. So what I'm going to do today for our audience in the space of the Talanoa. Okay, Jase, I'm going to play for you my favorite singer in the whole wide world. There should be entire countries named after her. So I'm going to play a little lead up, and then you're just going to sing the part where I say, Jase, go ahead. Okay, so here we go. So this is my favorite singer in the world. She's my bestie. Okay, Jase. All right. So this is kind of
my worst nightmare.
Sing along, right? On tune. Okay, so ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. When I stop and then I point with the finger, you're just going to jump in. Okay, 1, 2. Here we go. We're going to play it off. This would be Whitney Houston.
I know it's Whitney Houston.
And then the next version right here. And then we're going to start this one.
I want to dance with somebody. I want to feel the heat with somebody. Yeah, I want to dance with somebody who loves me.
Yeah! I love it. You were so amazing.
Wow. Thank you.
Yes, we just had the Super Bowl. Usher will be inviting you when he sings during halftime again. I am confident of it.
Great.
So in talking about
that was impressive that you selected maybe the most embarrassing possible thing for me to do. It was very prescient of you.
It was so incredible. I sing her every day, and I imagine her thinking, "Sing it again, Line. If only you could sing it with me."
I wish I could. I think you should have joined in too. I feel like I felt left out.
I am so off pitch and I can't hold a tune, and my family doesn't permit me to sing during karaoke. So it's all in my heart. It's how I feel, as Pacific people. Some of us have gifts and some of us don't. But I am so impressed with you. That was amazing. I just love it. So much respect. So in addition to your singing skills, so one of my questions, and it's really for me for your paper, you read Potiki by Patricia Grace, and then your abstract was also very compelling. You looked at the structure of how she wrote Potiki, and there were two elements from Maori culture and also Te Reo Maori in terms of language and how they speak. And you spoke about it in your paper. But before we get to there, there's actually, I have an interest in your work because you use the two central arguments in your paper come from what was it?
It's mainly centered around whaikorero and the concept of the koru, the symbol of the koru.
So from what I recall from your paper, whaikorero you use, and also the koru, particularly spiral design, you're saying that in Patricia Grace's Potiki, which is for literature, and then for the contribution that Pacific indigenous literature and how language is spoken, you said it was an effective narrative technique that Patricia Grace employed in the narrative. But what I thought was so thoughtful is in how it drives the narrative from where the narrative was coming from. I really appreciated that about your paper. But for myself, so I wanted to start with this. So I know, you know, but for everyone else, so I lecture in Pacific Studies. And Pacific literature, it's very close and dear to my heart. So when you talk about these two structures that Patricia purposefully uses to employ indigenous but very Maori, it's a language, but it's also a form of telling a story with a particular procedure and format to it. I really like it because you're using it, Maori structure of language to tell a Western story meaning to me in a Western format, which when you're taking English classes in universities, you're always taught this is high literature. So what I liked and what I wanted to talk about with you this morning, so koru and whaikorero, for me, it's leaping in the va between the past, the present, and the future. And you say that in your article, which to me is very graduate school. But for me, whaikorero, it's argued, it began in the creation story. And I mentioned this in my classes between Ranginui, which is Sky Father, and Papatuanuku, which is Earth Mother. So there are arguments where that began. Whaikorero being the council of their children locked in their embrace and wanting to escape darkness had the first whaikorero. And in this first whaikorero, they wanted to immerse themselves in light and break free of their parents' embrace. So that's one. A second theory is there was an argument between Maui Tiki Tiki and Hine Nui Tepo. A third one is that the whaikorero was created when wanting to create humanity, where Tane made the first woman, breathed life into her, and then created Hine Ahu One. Tane and Hine Ahu One birthed Hine Titama. And that's where the first whaikorero grew. But my point in talking about all these different Maori-centered centrics, language, culture, and where whaikorero originates from comes between and is between what you identify in your paper. It's the past, the present, and the future, and how, at least for the Maori, it's the consciousness of who they are and how their culture and procedurally who can speak and what dictates social engagements with and also outside of Maoridom. So my question, when you recognize how language informs worldviews and how Patricia Grace purposefully embeds language and worldviews to tell this narrative, and how you identify the structure in creating narratives of literature and to understand the world, what did you find most interesting about this research? Because it's very narrow.
Yeah, that's a great question. This is a very specific method of oral storytelling, of oral histories. And what interested me most is the idea of every story kind of being a work in progress. The whole concept of the koru, like you said, it brings together the past, the present, and the future as one kind of cohesive whole. And what's interesting is, from a Western perspective, a lot of times that kind of oral history, that kind of oral storytelling, it's not valued really at all because it's seen as unreliable. It's seen as like indeterminate. It's not historical because it can't. It's not written down anywhere. It's not verified. Um, but I think what's unique about it and what makes it valuable is actually the fact that it changes. It, exactly the aspect of it that Western academics kind of decry and don't value, I think is exactly what makes it valuable. Patricia Grace's she in Potiki, she's retelling a story that's been told many times, and she's telling it differently than anyone else has ever told it. And kind of the impression that I got after researching oral storytelling in general and specifically Whaikorero is that variability, that shift in perspective over generations is a feature. It's not a bug of many Pacific cultures and just many indigenous cultures around the world who relied on oral histories. I think that's a big kind of crux of my argument in the paper is that it's really essential that we take different forms of storytelling seriously, and we look at how they might have a different perspective on telling stories, especially in the context of literature. It can sometimes be an improvement to what's considered standard narrative techniques.
No, I like that because I love the way that doctors Lesuma and Christensen, how they really push the envelope of what is the canon of literature and
Mm-hmm.
what are acceptable. And, there's a lot of in the history of the written language, some will call, I'm pretty sure in history, this could have been considered and categorized as subversive. And in time, subversive would be have a negative connotation, which
Mm-hmm.
today I don't know if it necessarily does. Do you think when you were doing the research for your paper, because the in terms of Pacific literature, Patricia Grace is not new. This literature is
Mm-hmm.
not new to us. What did you find in your, because you are an English major, this is your jam. What did you find that you thought was unexpected?
Well, I do have to say, first of all, like I wanna shout out Dr. Lesuma and Dr. Christensen. Both of them were really, really formative for me, really essential in my developing this paper, and it would not exist without both of their help. So I really appreciate their perspective and their unique approaches to teaching literature, because it really helped me to see things from a different perspective. And I think in my research, I don't know if I can necessarily say it's surprising, but I think looking at the contemporary issues that Potiki is based on and is about, of land dispossession and the Western world, capitalism encroaching on um, indigenous land, indigenous spaces. It's in some ways not surprising, but also like it is kind of shocking as I did research just how present these issues continue to be, and how often things like what's described in Potiki continue to happen. Um, it seems like kind of obvious, having been living in Hawaii, where the issue of land theft, land.
Right. And the whole construct of what is development. And
Yes.
that's always a contested space. What's development? What's progress? What's a
Yeah.
healthy and happy society? So I
Yeah.
appreciate that about your paper. In terms of publication, what do you think? 'Cause in terms, there's a lot of sophomores that might be thinking about they wrote this really great paper and their families and their mentors might consider it great. What do you think, in your experience towards publication, what do you think that listeners should be aware of, but probably are not?
It's really easy. It's really, I mean, I say that like not as in like, you should just submit whatever and not think about it, but more as in like if you just start working on it, and if you just reach out to Dr. Kruse, reach out to Ainsley, and just start the process, it's so much easier than it sounds. Publishing something seems like a really big deal, and it is. But the Intersections team has made it really accessible, and I think that's really cool. And so I would say that would be the main thing that I would want people to know is just like you can do it. It's something that's open to anyone who's interested in it.
Great. I'm so glad that's been your experience. That's very good to hear. And I'm
Yeah.
so happy that you had incredible Manawahine instructors like Doctors Christensen and Lesuma, because I'm so glad that you had that to help you as your foundation. So I
Mhm.
understand, Jace, you're a senior.
Yes.
So what are you going to do when you graduate? This is our last question.
Okay. Well, this is the question that has been plaguing me for for a long time. But right now I'm kind of weighing my options. I'm thinking about going into teaching high school English. So potentially that might mean going into grad school and getting my teaching certification. I'm also kind of flirting with the idea of going into journalism in some capacity. So I have a lot of ideas. We'll see what I land on. But especially if I do end up going the grad school direction, having my paper published is definitely going to be a really great help in that department. I imagine. So
Yes, it will be. But it's so, there's always fields and you're always planting seeds in different fields. Things don't always grow at the same time. So it's great that you're considering teaching or you're considering grad school, but whatever it is, it's great you're planting your seeds. And having this result of a published paper in our second issue is so wonderful. And congratulations again. You worked really hard on it. I was
thank you.
very impressed. It's a very thoughtful, articulate, and very critical as an English major. So again, I want to congratulate you.
Thank you, and thank you for all of the help along the way. I really appreciate it. So it's been a great experience.
Mahalo. And thank you so much for turning in to Intersections. I'm thankful again for Jace for stopping by and belting out my favorite Whitney. She is my bestie. You did wonderful. And thank you all for listening to Talanoa. And I'll see you the next time. Aloha kako fatai te lava.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Robertson, and I'm a librarian and assistant professor here at BYU Hawaii. My office is here in Joseph F. Smith Library, number 193, across from the Children's Collection. I am one of the faculty members that works on the undergraduate research conference, and that takes place towards the end of winter semester. All students can participate, and all you need is a faculty mentor to look over your work before you present it and to look over your proposal before you submit it to the conference website. Our theme this year is Translated to the canoe is an island, the island is a canoe. It's a proverb that draws a parallel between a canoe and an island, a multifaceted metaphor that invokes themes of resiliency, adaptability, and self-reliance. And if you participated in the undergraduate research conference last semester, we'd love for you to come to our ongoing library workshops about how to get your work published in Intersections Journal. This is a great opportunity for all students to have something professional on your CV and your resume, so that when you go to apply for graduate school or your future careers, you can have something professional, peer-reviewed in a publication to link to, which looks great on all of those applications. Undergraduate Research Conference loves to work with Intersections because it just makes sense. Having your work that you worked so hard on for the Undergraduate Research Conference published in Intersections is the perfect way to keep that shared learning going that you worked so hard on for the conference. So please come in anytime to the library in Joseph F. Smith Library, office number 193. Make an appointment if I'm not here, but I'm always here. And I'm happy to assist you with that effort. And I wish you the best of luck in your professional endeavors.
Hi, I'm Janae Sika. I work at the Reading Writing Lab as the assistant coordinator. I work with our tutors who work here and help all of our students on campus. And I have been working with the Intersections Journal as part of their writing process for candidates who are up for publication. So what we do is we set up bi-weekly labs. So they meet with a tutor every 2 weeks. And they meet with the same tutor so that they can get consistent feedback on their writing and make sure that there's a fresh set of eyes on their work that they're planning to publish. The Reading Writing Lab works with the Intersections Journal by offering a bi-weekly lab. So candidates for publication come to us every 2 weeks and they meet with the same tutor every time. This allows them to get consistent feedback on their work and also gives them a fresh set of eyes. We work with them on things like grammar and writing, and they also use Chicago citations, so we work with them on that as well. This semester we've been working with a few candidates who are off campus, so we're meeting with them through Zoom. And we are open to all students on campus, any major, any discipline, so come and see us.
Aloha, my name is Zoya Falevari, and I'm one of the librarians here at BYU Hawaii Library. One of the things that I do is to help students and assist them with their research projects, research assignments, or it doesn't have to be a paper. I can help them to find sources and even incorporating those sources into their research paper. My contribution to the Intersections Journal is through working one-on-one with scholars to help them develop their questions and research. Scholars can schedule appointments with me or attend one of our ongoing library workshops. For an example, a workshop that we have is the Just Write, where you bring work, bring your research, bring whatever you need to work on, and we'll sit down together and work on that particular project. The library has a lot of resources that the students can use for their research. We have electronics resources like ebooks, databases, scholarly journal articles online through our library.byuh.edu website. But most importantly, we have the librarians. So there's 7 of us, and you're welcome to come meet with us for research help.